Blimey! That could have gone better. 2 pieces of the key in our grasp, and 2 opportunities just wasted. We must not fail on the last. My immediate concern is getting out of the city. The militia, if they are worth their salt, will have our description by now, and they're probably patrolling the streets. We should probably keep to the shadows.
Hello and welcome back to the LARP Noobs podcast. Today we're talking about the PreLarp.
And this is for Empire 2,
Event 2
of 2019.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be maybe a slightly strange one because we have a lot of things where I think there's some really interesting things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to lessen any of the other things that happened, but those really interesting things are going to be much more focal, I think, and mean that maybe some other things get slightly shorter shrift than maybe they deserve.
Well,
We'll get there, but I think this is going to be an interesting one on that front.
Yeah, like big things happened that changed a lot of things, so we
may stray more into focusing on those, and I think
more character
they're
stuff,
justified, right? But yeah, this is the PreLarp one, so
So we'll start off with. You made loads of books.
So yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned in the last episode I'd sort of made these books and I'd kind of had advertised them. This is before the first event, and people were interested, but I never managed to actually make any.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make enough basically to sell. I just made the one for myself. This actually gave me an opportunity to slightly edit the book and improve it, and then do like a full-on sort of mass publishing and creating of this book. And this book, by the way, was a book on alchemy. I see alchemy within Empire.
A potion brewing and stuff.
Yeah, so it was like potion brewing, herbology, all that kind of stuff. It was, I mentioned all this in the previous one, but it was a really big endeavour for me personally to try and make it. You know, it was 3 months of rewriting the wiki and rewording it a little bit and formatting it, and then creating these books physically. So yeah, it was
pretty ridiculous, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, they're kind of like the top level of what I can do. So
did you just get like industrialness then?
It was crazy. So I got like it's all printed on like pre-aged paper. It's all then basically bound in like this kind of leather, and all the pages are drilled through, and then they're all threaded together and stuff. It's a pretty big endeavour. It's, like I say, the limit of what I can do, probably.
It's having got my hands on them now, they're an absolute little piece of art, aren't they?
They're fantastic. I mean, like, so I was really, really proud of them anyway, and I advertised them on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And loads of people were interested.
Got loads of interest immediately, right?
Yeah, and it was like, so that was fantastic. Like, it was so good because I'd worked really hard on these things, and everybody was so complimentary, and that was just fantastic because it's one of those things where, as I say, it's kind of really the limit of what my ability set is right now. And it kind of, you know, when you kind of put something like that out, I think there's always the risk of if people don't like it quite as much as you kind of value and your own kind of self.
But you can't even, it's like any like work of art or anything like that. It's a question of like everyone's has their own personal view of that. Something might speak something specifically to you.
Yeah. I'm just saying that my personal fear as being the person putting that out there was always, you know,
I think the quality spoke for itself. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and I think like I was just so that I found that really kind of warming, and everyone was just you know, really kind, and then I was able to sort of pre-sell a few, and I just came up with this idea of something I really wanted to do at the event was try and sell a copy to one person from each nation in Empire, and just as like it gives me IP.
It's a cool achievement to get, right?
Yeah, it gives me sort of RP because it means that I can walk around and visit all the different nations, and even like I'm trying to get myself more RP basically because it's an area I felt I was really kind of weak on last time, and I've really wanted to improve, and I want to have the courage to improve. So touring around the different nations and talking with sellers, and even if it's just a sales interaction I see, right, that's good game for me. Like where I am, that's good game for me. So
there's also something to be said about like you build up this kind of like social currency, right, by going around and like interacting with people. You start to recognize people, and you know, it's just easier to get by, right? And
you hear passing conversations, not even always engaged, but there's that thing of LARP just being able to walk around and just sort of draw in the experience of it, and that's amazing. But so anyway, I'd kind of pre-arranged meeting all these people and selling these books, and came up with prices that, you know, and things, and that was all interesting. So that was a massive part of my preparation. But contrastingly, you had something really interesting and something that you'd kind of suggested last episode that you were kind of putting into action, and that was having your shield made.
Ah, man. So, Robert, at it again.
Yeah.
I got him to design me a shield this time.
Robert plays Caro for the Navarre in Empire, and he's like just... He was on the crafting episode that I did with him a few episodes back, and it's crazy to think where how deep he's gone into it and how fantastic he is.
So buying the shield, right?
Yeah,
spoke about it a bit, kind of talked about what kind of thing I was looking for, and then he just started bombarding me with ideas, right? But it was also sending the same ideas off to, because both of our ideas were very similar, to Michael, who is Good Dave's brother, right?
Yeah.
Part of our striding. And he put it down to like this one shield and was like, oh, they're interested in that one. And I'm like, when you just look at something and you fall in love with it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the fucking one I want though. That's the shield though. So I was like, oh wow. So I had to do a bit of diplomacy with between Good Dave and Michael, trying to straighten this whole thing out. Luckily they went for the other idea.
Okay, right.
So it was like, oh, thank God for that, So I managed to get the shield design I wanted, which was like
like an S, like a chubby kind of S-shaped,
kind
of kite
like
shield.
A kite shield, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of got like a indent on a top side and bottom side, but one on each.
Yeah, and it's kind of, as I say, like
it's so beautiful. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
it's got like our house striding sigil on the front.
Yeah. And well, I mean, the interesting thing at this point as well, because this is all pre-LARP. This is just you getting the design and seeing the photos, and he posted up loads of progress of it being made.
So exciting,
and then obviously, building up the event. Obviously, the excitement of going and collecting it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really exciting. Just getting all that done and kind of like just can't wait to get it.
What was it like actually going through the process as someone essentially commissioning something?
I have like this huge I get shocked into fear mode by it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm like, especially when you get to choose yourself, you're like, this is it's an investment, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, I want this to be the right thing that I want to have, right?
Yeah.
It's like trying to design a character or anything like that. You end up getting these like, oh, I'm so worried about getting this right. And once I settled on it, it was like it's all I wanted.
But it's interesting because I think the idea of getting it right isn't necessarily like how you would consider getting right another product, say like a household product where you want to get the purchase of whatever that thing is, right? This is getting it right in terms of what your IC needs are, right? What matches Ifan, what kind of speaks to his character, and you want to get the best item possible that does that. And and when you've got someone like Robert who just lets you go creative in any direction you want to go, is just in that sense the fear. I guess
it was a really fun experience.
Yeah,
and like going through all the different designs and talking it through and kind of like I was a terrible customer. And Robert was brilliant. You know what I mean? So also I made beef jerky. I did vodka again. This time it's apple and blueberry. And
you managed to infuse it a lot longer this time around. It was
for a month.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I actually have blueberries in the fridge right now and another bottle of
all waiting
vodka.
For E3.
Yeah, I might just do blueberries this time around.
Interesting. No, it was so tasty.
It was so sweet. It was really sweet, maybe too sweet.
Yeah, so...
and I also, my wife made loads of fingerless gloves for me.
And they were fantastic.
Pretty good, right? And also I made hot sauce.
Yes, the hot sauce. Yeah, that was a good one.
Another ludicrously dumb idea is to try and make hot sauce and sell it at Empire, basically. So the hot sauce is delicious.
Right.
I'm really happy with it.
And everybody tries it, likes it.
Super hot. I put them into a blender. I did the whole shebang. I fermented them, for fuck's sake. This is premium hot sauce.
Dave had even, and this is what I love about it, Dave had even posted a video up of him sampling his own hot sauce. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those kind of very honest endorsements of like one's own product. It was because you just did the raw footage of your face experiencing your hot sauce.
There is always fantastic. Fear whenever you face a new unknown hot sauce in the wild. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to approach it pretty carefully, but at the same time you also have to just get involved in shove a mouthful of it in and see what happens.
And that's what I love. It was the age of exploration.
Yeah,
it's
the video. I think it makes it seem worse than it actually is. Once you get used to a new beast, then it's
I think you sell it very well. Well, you don't sell it; it's just an honest reaction.
No, exactly. Yeah,
but no, that was fantastic, and I think
I posted that video on the Facebook.
You did, yeah.
I did, yeah.
I think that was good fun, right? And you got some nice responses, and I think the hot sauce. Monetarily, I see monetarily maybe wasn't a great success, but I think RP
quite
wise
a lot of it in my fridge right now. So,
but I think RP wise it was a good success.
Hey, the people that loved it, absolutely. The people that tried it loved it. Yeah, so that's good. Right, what else do we? Oh, we should talk about Lloyd's armor.
Yeah, so our friend Lloyd, who has this is his second event. He has been working on essentially some Lamlar armor of a different form, which is basically built out of all these hexagons that, when tessellated in a certain way, give the sort of illusion of leaves. It's a really interesting idea, really cool, and he's he's been working really hard on it. But yeah, I think it's a huge challenge, and I know this as someone who's made armor and making my Lamlar armor. It's the time and the energy to do it at certain points, like. When you've got a project that big and you want to get it right, but you are constantly sort of tested by your own limitations of skill and patience, right?
Well, yeah.
When you're constantly tested in those ways, it's actually quite tiring. I found it quite tiring to work on it, but very exciting to work on it. So it was this constant thing, and it's like it was always playing on my mind, like I should be working on my armor, but sometimes you're just not in the right place. So even if you want to do it, you shouldn't do it. And so I totally understand why it takes so long, and I think hopefully he'll get it done for next event, but it's a long process, awesome. Dude. It's going to look amazing when it's done. I think it will be better looking armor than mine, and I'm very proud of my armor. But I think the idea is really cool, and I think he's really come up with something interesting, because sort of metal heavy armor for Navarre is a really hard one to pull off. And I think Navarre as a nation, I see they tend to wear. They're not really described as not really wearing heavy armor, but just through the nature, I think the description of the sort of arms and armor style and the fighting style of the nation, it kind of implies that really we don't run around in a lot of plate, and stuff like that, right? It's not sort of chivalric knights, right? So that naturally makes the difficulty of making armor, I think, more challenging, because you have to sort of think what other forms of armor would work. Is chain appropriate, and in which way, and how can I make chain or Lamlar or scale or any of those things look in context Navarre? I think it is actually trickier than it seems, because
definitely,
merging all of those things, you could easily come out looking like someone of a different nation if all you did was slap on some chainmail and walk out, and maybe that's all you can afford to do as well. That's the other thing. So
I find with my absolute terrible gimp armor, accessorize.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
And that doesn't have to be expensive as well.
Hell no! I've got a neck thing, a wool neck thing, and I've got a pair of fingerless gloves.
Yeah,
and it just breaks the whole thing up a bit.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because generally speaking, if you buy a product or if you make a thing, you tend to make it in isolation.
And my necklace as well.
Yeah, your necklace is great, right? But you tend to build stuff in isolation. And so you make your armor, and it's not like you try it with all of your kit while you're making it, or you probably should do that, but just naturally, I
don't know.
Right, so but then when you finish that thing, it becomes a bit of an individual piece. So then I think having those few details like you have, my character actually doesn't really have many. But
your armor speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I agree with what you've done, though, is what I'm trying to say. I think getting those few accessories, and as I say, they don't have to be expensive, they can be super affordable. I think they really help with kit, actually.
Just find someone that can crochet,
because the really interesting thing is when you look at someone else's kit that's really good, right? Someone who springs to my mind would say be someone like Sparrow, who has that whole kind of he's got furs and things like that on the skirt that he wears, right? And these things that's risky in a way, because that could easily be a winter marquee thing, right, to have furs like that. But he has tied it in really intelligently to sort of really sell the idea that no, these are part of my character and actually emphasize
his whole
being
kit
Navarre.
as well seems to be able to go like warmer to colder.
Yeah,
and he changes out layers, but looks like he's still wearing the same kit.
I think I saw this really interesting thing on the Facebook group. I think someone was talking about the difference between kit and costume, and I think naturally, especially when I first went, I had very much had costume, you know, and now I've been slowly trying to move stuff towards kit in the terms of like, this is actually the stuff that my character has turned up to Anvil with, and aspirationally that means that he's not going to always walk around in the same shirt. He's not always going to have, you know, exactly the same look. He looks like someone who is attending for several days and has the wardrobe to cater to that. And that's a massive challenge as a new player.
I like that a lot. The idea that you're kind of like building up to so you're actually in character. This sounds ridiculous.
I know it does sound ridiculous,
but yeah, I totally get.
And I think that's something really interesting to aspire for. And I think a lot of people sort of really do that very well. Like, you know. You'll see them and they may be wearing like subtle hints of red underneath their kit today, and they weren't yesterday and they are today, and it's just, but you still obviously recognise it'll be their character. Maybe they've got like a separate bag on their hip, or you know, something over their shoulders or something. You know, it looks like really cool. Like a necklace is an awesome touch, right?
I'm extremely interested in all of this, but yeah, we should.
No, it's a really interesting topic.
Okay, right, I got some letters.
Yes,
right, so. Getting a letter is brilliant.
Oh, it's such fantastic. Like,
isn't it the best thing? Getting a letter, you're like, oh, you've got a letter. I'm like, oh, who have we got a letter from? And I'm like looking at it like, oh snap!
And this is really interesting as well, because we're talking. I got both digital letters and digital sort of posters and things that were directed towards my character, and actual physical. Through the post.
The physical letters through the post are definitely the most exciting, right?
But they're all exciting, right?
There is a weird thing about giving out your actual address to people.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing, right? I wish there was like a online blind something. I don't know about how that would even work.
I know, I think that you just... Because the thing is, ultimately, people get in touch with you and... You know, you do naturally make that very interpersonal judgment of whether you're happy with it. And I think, you know, that's fine. Like, it's your decision, you know, it's outside game, and I think, like, you know, you're free to make the choice either way. And I think that's kind of nicer that players can have that responsibility on themselves.
Okay, so going into, like, IC, OC stuff now, getting letters, I'm not going to go into too many details, but obviously anything I do say...
Yeah,
with all of this stuff, like we'll probably have to say this again later on, but
I think there are now increasing as we're kind of engaging with. We're not even,
we're
talking that's really loose.
It's more like it's not that we're up to anything like sneaky necessarily. It's more like just when we have a rule where we don't ever talk about anyone. If we mention their name, we always ask them first, right?
Yeah.
So we always try and get permission about who we talk about, because we don't want to just stop blabbing about everyone that we even have interactions with very specifically, right?
And both IC and OC reasons, you know, like you don't want to maybe, like if I was to talk about some great thing that someone's up to and they maybe wanted to be conducting that in secret, that's not necessarily something that,
or even if they just want to be talked about OC on a podcast, right? So a lot of this stuff, if I talk about stuff in broad terms, it tends to be because it's like that, or it's something storyline driven, right?
Yeah, and it's as I say, it's not like we're heavily involved in actually any story, but for us, I think it's getting to the stage where at least we're a bit more engaged with the story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah.
So I got a letter from some orcs. Holy shit.
Fantastic, right?
Couldn't be more excited. I was ecstatic.
And this letter, by the way, he posted a picture that we all looked at. It was fantastic.
It's written in I dialect and Reaver talk.
Right.
I have no idea what either of those terms mean. Right? So I get this and I'm like, I'm dyslexic, right? So the normal language is already an issue, right? Get this fucking letter and it's like pidgin English, and it's like, and if you want me to do exactly what the letter says, I probably will. I can give you broad terms on what the fuck everything says.
I think that was a really interesting thing about it, though. So it had that whole kind of Rosetta Stone kind of thing where you had to go and like translate it in a sense where you could understand it and get meaning from it, and it kind of. I really they had that extra level of RP where it actually felt like you were engaging with another culture.
They had this awesome way of RPing with everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like it's immediate RP whenever you have interaction with them.
They're fantastic. The all-outness they go on everything. It's fantastic. They really sell it well.
Anyway, so orcs generally we have much chance to siege to them, so that's probably not really
I think
what's going on. But
there was an interesting part to the letter, because obviously it carried on from something that ICU had been involved in last time, so this was actually a bit of sort of continuing story. Obviously we'll discuss what maybe that is or isn't, or how much of that we can and cannot talk about in the full in the next episode. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to bring up, like, receiving it was super exciting.
Yeah,
like, I wasn't even involved, and it was super exciting just to see it.
Yeah. Also, so going way back when, Ifan had heard about this play called The Coctopus.
Yes.
Right? So my character had heard about this play and had thought it was the best thing ever. It was a night when he couldn't go to battle. He was pissed off and angry and heard about this thing, and it made him really happy.
Yeah.
Stayed it with. So we had thought that we had seen the Coctopus.
Yeah, so last event, when we went to Songs of Story, we thought we walked in on this thing, on this performance, which was fantastic. I mean, we really loved it.
But
it wasn't the Coctopus.
The fucking Coctopus, Ian.
But it was amazing. Like, it was absolutely incredible. And it involved the Coctopus as a character. It was, it was fantastic. But when we realised we hadn't seen the Coctopus, we were like, we have to get this done.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like, it's literally probably one of our first ambitions as people going. Tom,
guy I've been talking to for a while online. That sounds weird. That sounds bad, but we get on very well. He was the one who brought it up. He was like, it was good, but it wasn't the Coctopus. And I'm like, what the hell do you mean by that? And basically, the people who had were in it had been tagged in a post.
Right.
So they were like, hi, we're the ones that do the Coctopus. And I was like, immediately sent them a message being like,
can we have a performance?
Yeah. Like, what's the deal? And I don't know, I won't be specific on money here, but they had told me a price.
Right.
It certainly wasn't 3 thrones.
No,
it was not that much. And I was like, I've got that money right now.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Right?
Instigate the order.
So we arranged there was like, it must seem like, why is this random person we've never met?
Press the button.
Hell bent on
press the button. Yes, you want that.
Yeah. So I'm like, they were like, come and see us after the battle on Saturday, and then we'll do it Saturday night.
So good. This is amazing.
So I was like, yes. Brilliant! This is gonna be my treat for the whole gang. I'm gonna take everyone out.
He didn't tell any of us this, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't told anyone this. This is all completely secret, right?
Fantastic.
Actually, I'll explain the full plan later on.
Yeah,
right?
I think
because I have an elaborate tricksy plan with the whole thing.
And
so I'm keeping it secret from everyone.
As a moment, it's one of those real highlights in LARP. It's so good. It probably is the best thing.
Oh man, this LARP was just fucking awesome.
It was incredible, dude. Like, I think last time we really spoke about how we were disappointed at RRP, and this is, again, I think something we'll repeat later on, but I think it's interesting to talk about it.
It's going to be a different, I feel it might be identical, but for us it felt like a very different event. Right?
I think we decided that we were going to actively try and pursue some RP goals, and that necessarily isn't, I'm not saying we're like super ambitious, we're becoming fucking emperors or whatever, but it was just like we had small goals that we wanted to actually move on. Which actually, to be honest with you, and we've spoken about this, there are new players who go to an event, solo players as well, who just complete respect to these people.
I just want to say, Sol and Phil, who are both listeners of the podcast, that we're both chat to you now, and I feel like we're good friends now. They're nice people, right? Both of them solo LARPers.
Yeah.
And both of them are throwing themselves into this. And it's been like...
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Just the respect for solo LARPers.
They know more than we do, and we've been to many more events than some of them, you know.
It's just the attitude they've taken into it, which is why they've gotten so well, right?
Yeah.
Because they come in with the right attitude of wanting to get involved in the game and do stuff, and people are like, hey...
Yeah.
Like, fucking, what's that sword that Phil's got now?
He's got a Vorpal sword.
A Vorpal sword?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's outrageous.
I
mean, that's like an outrageous sum of money.
He's
like,
just,
for us, that's an outrageous sum.
It's amazing.
So good.
But, like, well-deserved. Going solo
That's the great thing.
Awesome.
That you can actually, as a new player, and I think this is something that maybe I would have liked to have known when I first come, that you can go with such game that you can come away where people, when they hear about it, and though they've been going a lot longer and actually haven't achieved anywhere near as much as you have in all of that time, they can look at what you say and say that you earned it, and you earned it on one event.
Yeah.
That's something to be really fucking proud of.
Yeah, but legit, right? Like,
really proud of.
Yeah, like, awesome.
But I think it's fantastic. So, yeah, this time around, I think we're really looking forward to the fact that we stepped up our RP a bit, and, I think, like, we had a really good event because of that.
Right, come on, fuck it. Let's do the episode.
Yeah,
okay, right. That's all we got, right?
I think that's everything pre-LARP.
All right, join us next time, and we will actually get stuck into the actual LARP. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, this doesn't look good. Those armed thugs are blocking access to the docks. And those aren't the uniforms of the town's watch. Well, pull your hood up and follow my lead.
Ah, finally. Just who we're looking for.
Ah, good evening. Run. We're just taking a stroll around the dock. Run.
Did you just say run?
I did! Run!